Welcome to Stoughton Media Access Corporation's Community Forum Show. Today I'm delighted to bring you one of Stoughton's finest runners, all right? So Stu, all right? So Stu Weiner.
Yes.
And has, I would call either an affliction or an affection, I'm not sure which, for marathon running and other kinds of running. And I think it's fabulous that you've gotten into a fitness place that many of us wish we could be. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about how did this come about, where you're now running and how much running you're doing and things like that?
Well, the running really kind of took on like a kind of a life of its own, but not right away. I mean, I started probably, I would say about 10 years ago, and it started out with a fitness boot camp that I participated in, and I was just looking to do something different, opposed to going to the gym and going on a treadmill for half an hour.
Yeah.
And the fitness boot camp really kind of helped me kind of develop my cardio a lot more, and it was a lot of combination of running and muscular endurance, if you will. And I found that over the course of the summer, as I was doing it, I had a hard time keeping up with people, and so it was an actual struggle for me, and so when I came back to the boot camp the following year, over the winter, I started changing my workout regimen. I actually started running outside more, and I got in with a small group of people through my gym who we would go out on two or three times a week and go for runs in the morning. And I felt that in order to continue to develop and improve at the boot camp, I had to do more running, excuse me, in order to keep up with a lot of the other people who were already running marathons and doing triathlons, and so over the course of a few years, I eventually got into doing races.
So when you first started, were you sort of myself? If I run a half a mile, I can get out of breath pretty easy, and then my knee starts to hurt.
Yep.
So was any of that present?
Yeah, so we would run around the Babe Ruth field here in Stoughton for the boot camp. And after 2 times around, I was gassed, and it became a struggle. But then when we moved down to the high school field, around the middle school field, where it's a half a mile around, it was worse. So yeah. So
where did you start? Like, did you start doing half mile, a mile? How did you build up?
So we built up to a mile, half mile, a mile, and eventually you progressively work up, because as you build up your endurance, you feel more confident, you have more stamina and so forth. So yeah, I started small. I started with mile, 2 miles, and even at the beginning, it was a struggle and something I really had to build up to.
Now, what about time? You work full time. You have a job with Columbia Gas.
Yep.
So as you start to run more and more, how do you make time for that?
Yeah.
And you also have a couple of young girls in the, you have a sophomore and a senior at the high school.
Yep.
So you want to give a shout out to them, say hello?
Of course. Yep. Courtney and Rachel.
Okay.
Yep.
And have they followed in Dad's footsteps? Do they think about running, or?
They tried. They don't care for it that much, but yeah, I've tried to get them involved and come out with me a few times, but it's something that. Although my daughter Rachel's on the track team in the spring, so she has done some running around the track and so forth, and I have gone out with her to get sneakers, so she'd rather trust me than and my wife because I know a little bit about
on sneakers. Come on now, let's not go too far.
No, I won't. We're going to get farther than that.
Just
but when
on
it comes to
sneakers.
running, that's where my knowledge base is. So, but yeah, so they've kind of tinkered with it.
Yeah. I'm going to make a prediction that maybe 10 or 15 years from now, they're going to think back to what Dad's been doing, and they're going to be doing that.
Yeah, I
That's
love
what my
it.
prediction
Yeah, no,
is.
I'd love it. Yeah, they often say we don't know how you do the marathons, and it's just it's you build up to it.
Well, now you've mentioned marathons, so now we're going to talk a little bit about how much you went from half mile. Tell me about the progression of your races. What kind of races you do now, and how did that happen?
Okay, so I run a variety of distances now. I mean, the shorter distance races, the 5Ks, the 10Ks, they're not that, for me, difficult. The half marathons, they're not difficult, but it's a good distance. It's 13.1 miles. So
You have to do some serious training.
you have to do some training for it, right?
So when do you train? Do you train early in the morning? Do you train at night? Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Give us a little rundown.
So if it's normally I like to train in the morning, and usually I was in the habit when I was first running and training for marathons and so forth of being up early in the morning, and I've also trained at night, but I prefer in the morning. So that's mainly I like to run at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, just because it's before work. It's easy to come home at night and not have to worry about it, and that's where that's what I prefer to do.
So, like, give me last night. Did you run, or yesterday morning? Did you run 5 miles yesterday morning?
No. What I've been doing now is what I like to do is I get into the end of the season, what I call the end of the season, end of the year now.
Yep.
I kind of cut back on the running because I've been doing so much of it from January into November that I just kind of like to stay. It's more or less allowing myself to recover and get the body recover. I've run almost 1,200 miles between just regular training runs, races, marathons. So you got to give yourself a chance to allow your body to recover and not kind of go overboard. And that's,
Do you miss it? I mean, if you don't run for 3 or 4 days, do you feel guilty?
No, I don't actually. Actually, my body enjoys the rest. So don't I, because it's just so much. There's a lot of the things that you go into doing running with the training. It's a lot of mental in terms of preparation and particularly when you're training for a marathon or even a half marathon, you want to do so many training runs and so many variety of distances, and you get to a point where you kind of hit a wall a little bit. So I like to find other things to do to complement my running, and it helps a lot.
Well, now you sent along some pictures, and I think Gina Coe, who is our executive producer in the back today.
Yep.
Gina, could you run a picture or two, and we'll have a look? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about this one.
That's where it all began. That was my first Boston in 2012, and probably one of the hottest days I've run in. It took me over 6 hours to finish that marathon.
Wow.
It was.
God bless you, because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was a long day, and I did my share of walking that day. There was.
But you finished.
I finished. That's the key, and that's
Paramount.
my approach on any marathon. Is my primary focus is to finish. But now I'm at the point where I like to make sure I have a decent time. I don't want to be out for 6 hours anymore. That's the one thing I learned from that experience. It was 2012 was known as one of the more hottest marathons for Boston.
Right.
It peaked at 90 degrees at one point.
Well, you still look pretty happy in that picture.
Yeah, I was at the end. I was coming down Boylston Street in that picture, so
Yeah.
I was pretty pleased that I survived it.
So let's have another picture, and let's see, and we'll kind of go through them. Now, which one are you in this picture?
I felt like Big Bird in this picture, but this picture, a friend of mine who could not run Boston, she was hurt. Her husband dresses up as Big Bird.
Wow.
And this was in 2014, the year obviously after the bombing, and this was down by BC. This is around mile 21-ish, and I saw her out of the corner of my eye, so I stopped for a picture. And this one is my most recent marathon finish. That was in Hartford.
Yeah? And how did you do for a time? Have you got it down?
Yeah, this one I did in 4 hours 25 minutes.
Wonderful.
I was happy with that.
Yeah.
It was a good day for me. In this one here, that was after 2014. That's my wife and my kids there. That was taken behind where all the families meet up with the runners and so forth after the marathon. So that was great.
Yeah, very nice, huh?
This picture is actually, this is in November. This was at the Miles Standish Marathon and Marathon Relay, they call it. It's down in Plymouth.
26.2 miles,
Yeah,
right?
and I actually participated on a relay team in this one. So there are 5 of us from my running club, Colonial Road Runners, is the running club I belong to. So we ran as a team, and I had the last leg, which was just under 7 miles. It was also one of the most hilliest parts of the courses.
So were you the strong runner, usually the last leg person?
I chose to be the last leg because I don't mind training or running on hills, and it was really difficult. So I actually enjoyed.
And were you able to go train that, like, because you live close enough to it?
For that one, because it was a relay and I knew it wasn't a long distance, I don't really did any specific training for it. I had already, a few weeks before, I had run Hartford, so I was already trained.
Great condition.
I was in the condition. So, and that relay was a lot of fun. You know, a few of the people I hadn't met before, and from other teams, and there was one of the people on my team was new to the running club. So it's good to see people face to face, because a lot of the people you interact with, like on our Facebook running page. Our Facebook page, rather, it's more like communication. You don't see each other face to face, you know, in the social media world that we live in.
Right.
So it's great. It was great to connect with some of these people, and you find out you have a lot more in common, more than just running. It's, you know, we all have families and kids and so forth. So
Gina, do you have the Colonial Running slide that just sort of would put out to the audience that a little bit of information? Yeah, there we go. So it's Colonial Road Runners, www.colonialrunners.org, and you can email membership@colonialrunners.org. So how did that happen? How did you get to Colonial Runners?
A friend of mine who I had met through my gym and so forth, and through the boot camp that I belonged to, he was a member, and he had said, you know, you're doing a lot of these races, you might benefit from the running club, because you have group organized runs, they have people who can give you training plans, you have a number of different races. It might be good to join the club, because you can actually train for marathons with other people. And so I did it, and it's very reasonable. If it's like $20 for the year. If you join before the end of the year, it's $15. But it's not just the fact that it's inexpensive. The club is able to arrange discounts through different other running clubs who organize races, and you know, we get discounts like at Marathon Sports and you know, and other races over the course of the year that they know that we're going to have a certain number of runners that are going to run the race, that they'll offer us a discount, and even if it's like 10%.
You're making back that 20 without blinking an eye.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, and you know, and plus you get other benefits on running clothing and running equipment. Like, for example, one of the reflective vests that runners wear, the running club was able to arrange for a discount to buy this running vest, and it usually would run, I don't know, $50, $60, and you get 30% off.
Right.
You know,
there's your whole $18 right there.
So some of the discounts that you get, you're getting it back from the membership you pay. You know, so over the course of the year, you indirectly you're getting your money back. You know, if you look at it that way. But it's just the benefits of the camaraderie with the people, and running with people from different backgrounds and different you know, levels. You know, we have runners who are super fast and they qualify for Boston, and we have runners like me who are mediocre but we run, and we have other people who are slower, but we run with them because we like to run together. We don't care oftentimes who's faster than who. It's all about it's as much about the social aspect as it is about the running aspect, and that's and that's one of the things I like most about doing it.
Could you reflect for a minute and think about, like, what is your most memorable training run? Do you remember something happened on a training run and you're just like, wow, that was amazing?
Yeah. I don't know, like, I like to run up by West Street, up by Ames Pond.
Yes.
And even seeing, you know, when you don't have drought conditions and it's, you know, you have, you know, all the animals and the you know, the
beautiful scenery maybe,
around there, and you know, when you're running out on a Sunday morning and there's no cars on the road and you're just looking around and it's peace and quiet and it's a clear day and it's comfortable and you see, you know, a lot of different nature out there, and you know, and you know, even when in the winter when I'm running, you know, it's when the snow's covering the water and you got all the backdrop after a snow has fallen, and it's a little corny, but it's peaceful. I find that, you know, just very peaceful and calming, and it helps me, you know, manage stress of life and just to be out with people, and that's the value, another value I see in it.
I think it builds a little confidence in you too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a sense that when you're answering like this call that I think we all have to venerate our body, you know, to make it special.
Yep.
That you develop a certain confidence that comes outward from that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely, and even some of the training that I do, like at my gym, we do different interval.
What's your gym, by the way? It's okay.
It's Elite Fitness.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there are different classes that I participate in there, whether it's a spinning class or if it's you know, high interval training classes. These are things that help build endurance and help build other, you know, keeps you strong. I mean, because when you're out running, you need a strong core. You do need a strong upper body, because when you're getting tired at the end of a race, you want to be upright. You know?
Yeah.
So, and in the cardio aspect too, it just helps complement my training as well. But through all those classes too, it's built confidence, and you really feel really positive after you come out of classes like that, and then you kind of put that training to work, whether it's whatever distance it is. You put that training to work, and you feel it on race day.
I have to tell you a confession, if you would. I ride mountain bike often, and we intersect with runners. And whenever I come across runners, especially I don't know them, and I'll say, "Get a real sport, will ya?" As we're riding by on the bike. Come on, get a real sport.
That's all right. So, I'm sure my people aren't insulted by that.
I know, and of course I know how hard running is, but I just say that anyways.
Yeah.
They all start jiving and, you know.
Yep.
Saying stuff, you know, to us about.
No, it's all good,
you know,
fun.
Yeah,
it's all
pretty
good fun. But it's, you know, even you mentioned you do some mountain biking up at Blue Hills, and I like running up there. You know, we run, sometimes I meet groups of people from my running club up there, or friends, or whoever it might be. And even when you're running around Houghton's Pond and up by that area, you see a lot of cyclists up there, a lot of mountain bikers, and everyone's, you know, cordial to one another. You know,
Yeah.
You're out there for the same purpose. You're out taking care of yourself and fitness and so forth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me about, have you ever had that, what they call the runner's high? Have you achieved that, if that's an achievement? I don't know, maybe is it an ancillary thing? But I don't know, tell me about runner's high.
Yeah, it's just a great feeling you have after you get done with any kind of run. Excuse me, like training run. You just feel really great, and particularly when you're out in the morning and it's, you know, whether it's bad weather or good weather, you know, once you finish strong in a race and say you run a personal best, or whether it's just you're out for a general training run, it's just a general running high. You feel really good, and you're ready to, you know, take on whatever challenge is next.
So if you had a group of beginners who came into your group, let's say a guy like myself, slightly overweight.
Yep, we'd work with you, Steve.
Yeah. So, I'd look at you guys running and I go, I can't do that. What would you do with me?
You know, so because we have a variety of people and skill levels and people who have, you know, different endurance and they can run certain distances, we usually pair people up together. So make sure that you're not alone during the run, because it's important. You know, people don't want to go to a training run like that and just feel awful because they're all by themselves and
Yeah.
no one's staying with me and so forth. And so we tend to pair off after a while, but we make sure no one's left behind. So we want to make we want you to make to be fit to made to be confident with the running and so forth. So that's what we do. I mean, we have, people all also say, how long you've been running for, and if you say you're new to running, people offer advice. You may want to try this while you're just starting out,
Right.
and so forth. So it's a community that's very engaging.
Nice.
And that's the important part of it, because in the end, we're all recreational runners. We're not training for the Olympics. We all have jobs to go to. We have, a lot of us have families to raise or what have you. So at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
So I wanted to get your take a little bit on what kind of nutrition and what kind of eating you do as a person. Let's not call you a marathoner, but a runner. Like, what do you do different now that you're a runner? And how do you feed that, let's say, calorie need that you have while trying to keep away from too many calories at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, when you're training for a long distance race, it's hard to stay away from the calories, but it's what you're taking in. Like, I'm not going to go to McDonald's and have a supersize anything. I'm not going to do that. But it's fish, it's chicken, it's any kind of protein. Obviously pasta. I'll eat multi-grain bars, and I'll eat different things that are that kind of sustain me, because particularly if you are training for, say, a marathon or an ultra marathon, which there are those out there, you have that your body is calling for to be fed. So you don't want to neglect it because you need to, but you not just feeding it, but hydrating it. The hydration is important, particularly afterwards. Not only just before or during, but afterwards. So that's also plays a big part in it.
So you have like a favorite sports beverage?
Yeah. When I'm out, if I'm going on a long distance training run, say 12, 14 miles or so, I usually carry a fuel belt with me, and I have, sometimes it's Gatorade, sometimes it's a protein drink that it's called Accelerate. It has other protein and carbohydrates in it that helps supplement my hydration. There are different sports gels that are out there. I myself, I like goo gels. They kind of sit fine with me.
Depends on different people, what their stomach does.
Sometimes, right. It comes down to people have GI issues. They can only take in certain things.
Right.
Some people eat oatmeal when they're out there. It's whatever you can take and what you can use to supplement your body. I also use salt tabs, which basically are a capsule, and it has sodium, electrolytes, that sort of thing in there. And I just you take water with it and you hydrate with it. I find, like, at least for myself, when I sweat out a lot of salt, like that picture you saw from the 2014 Boston, I was covered in it. It was a warm day. It was like, kind of peaked at 70 degrees or so, and I lost a lot of salt. And one of my kids said, "Is that deodorant that you have on your body?" I said, "No, that's
me.
Salt. That's salt I've lost." I mean, even eating pretzels or something like that.
Good tip.
Good tip is to take, sometimes it's even oranges, half a banana or so, things like that.
Nice. So take me back to like your college. Where'd you go to college?
Went to UMass Lowell.
UMass Lowell,
It was University of Lowell when I started there.
Okay.
Finished in the UMass system.
All right.
I graduated.
And did you even think of running back then?
I did some running. I didn't think of doing, I had no delusions or whatever of thoughts of even doing this, what I'm doing now. It's just kind of what happened,
Isn't it a great place to be in your life, though, that you've sort of come to a place where you're taking better care of your body? I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's, and I feel better, and I feel, overall, I feel great. I'm, in my, late 40s, and I feel I'm probably in better shape now than I was when I was in my 20s because of what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing, it's the type of exercise that I'm doing. It's the training regimen. It's just mentally I feel strong. I don't get discouraged a lot with things. I'm able to deal with adversity, whatever it might be, real well. Just
partly just from the character, the iron that maybe you build. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Just kind of like the character. Exactly, the character you build through a lot of the training that I've done. The running has helped. It's kind of provided a level of focus for me. So it's been great in that respect. But yeah.
So hydration is a big part of like long run. And by the way, let me ask you, just approximate minutes per mile. In your training runs, are you doing like 9.5 minute miles, or what kind of miles do you do for training?
Yeah, when I'm out on a training run, it's usually about 9.25, 9.5. It all depends. Again, it depends on how I feel. Sometimes it lags, sometimes it's a little quicker. But I normally save really my full exertion until I run a race because I don't want to get hurt during a training run. But I just kind of it doesn't, when I'm out just on a general training run, I don't like to really push too hard. But when I'm out running a race, of course, I can run. I've run 8-minute miles in the past. I've run 7-minute miles. Again, it to me, it all depends on how I'm feeling, how my training's going. That plays a role.
And that's not really the goal, is it? I mean, it's not really, like you said, we're not training for Olympics here. This is a matter of getting your body in a great place that helps your mind to be in an even better place.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so it's and like I said, when I'm running a race, I'll go in and I'll say, we'll see. I'm not gonna worry about the time. But again, most of the races I run, I feel really good, so I'll push myself to a point where I think I can handle. But not all of us were meant to qualify for Boston. And so that's the approach I take. To me, it's not the end all be all. It's the important thing is being out there and getting it done.
Yeah, and you can help people if they wanted to. So somebody can connect with Colonial Runners.
Yep.
And you'll help them get started.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is a really nice pledge on your part.
No, it's great. And we have different races we do over the course of the year. This weekend we have a half marathon that we're running in Rainham. So we have it's a big race for us, and we have a lot of people in the club who volunteer for it, and as well as run it. So it's a great outlet for a lot of people.
Well, Stu, I want to thank you for being on the show, for sharing a good bit of knowledge about
Thanks, Steve.
Recreational running.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that a lot of people in Stoughton are going to pay attention and follow your lead.
I hope so. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
And I want to thank the audience for watching, and Leo McGowan, Roy Cohen, Gina Coe for helping us produce the show. Thank you very much.